Hey, what's up YouTube? This is going to be a quick video here just showing you about the 97 Chevy Blazer fuel gauge. A few people had some questions as far as what I did here, and the last video you saw was basically the video where I had dropped the fuel tank to replace this unit. Basically, as you can see, I mean, basically this is the actual sending unit resistor right here. It clips to the side of the tank, sort of something like this. And these little, there's like these little fin clips here, and they connect up in and hold it in place. Then the float connects, there's a connecting rod here, a real thin connecting rod with a float that goes up like this. And what this does is as the fuel level increases in the tank, it moves this little contacts on a resistor. So as the fuel level drops, it changes the amount of voltage resistance that goes from this contact here over to this contact here on the solder joints through the resistor. And as you decrease, it then goes down. So I believe this is a 250 at full, and I believe 20 ohms is empty, I believe. Don't quote me on that because I've gotten a lot of mixed information. Even during diagnostics process, I was having trouble figuring it out. But this is what the resistor looks like. You can buy these on eBay for about 15 bucks. Just this piece here, and what it does is it actually comes with these connector. It comes as one piece. Now I cut the wires, so I don't know if you can see this or not on camera, but I basically, if you see these two wires here, I cut them off because what happened was, and this is what I'm going to explain to you, these wires were originally attached to these wires here on the end of this sending unit. And so basically what I'm going to explain to you here is what happened was when I had purchased this this whole assembly, basically just came like this, all connected as one wire unit with the plug that goes in the top of the sending unit on the top of the tank. That's where the actual connector goes inside the tank to the top of the plastic sending unit assembly. This plug here actually goes into the top of the fuel pump that's down inside the plastic assembly. And what happens is, whenever you're replacing this type of stuff, is whenever I had replaced the fuel pump on this vehicle back in March, I think March 7th of 2013 I replaced it. I replaced with an AC-Delco one, so it was an OEM brand. The problem is, though, the particular sending unit that I replaced it was a modified version of the AC-Delco. Probably like a service, what they consider a service quality one, or they call it like service level or service quality, or I'm not sure what they're referring to. Basically, in my terms, crap. If you're only spending $129.99 on a fuel pump that's supposed to be an AC-Delco pump, that you're going to get down at like Advanced Auto for $385 for an example, chances are it's not. It's a service grade quality, and it's not service grade. That's the word I was looking for. It's not a service or a professional grade quality, and I think that's what happened to me. I was one of those wonderful victims of eBay once again. You know, I see these great prices, and I say, "Whoa, AC-Delco fuel pump and sending unit, $129.99 and free shipping." Woohoo! I'm getting all excited. I get it. I order it, install it, and then here I am 5 months later having to drop my fuel tank and replace the resistor because they only give you a 60-day warranty on this particular buyer that I'd purchased it from, and guess what? The fuel gauge stopped working. It would get to about a half a tank. So basically from here, from about right there in the middle all the way down, did not work. Sometimes if you shut the vehicle off and back on, it would read for a minute and then it would stop working again. Now, there's a video on YouTube that talks about this and explains the problem with this. Now, from what I understand, what he says is it's actually, if you see that play right there, you might even be able to hear that clicking. That play is supposed to be the reason why it does this. Now, the contacts, I don't know if you can see in there, there's two contacts in there that actually touch against the resistor, or resisto, I think is what they call it. And that supposedly adversely affects the amount of resistance and connectivity that sends the information to the fuel gauge. What he did was, I don't even know if I can replicate this again. What he did in this YouTube video was, he actually, and I'm going to make this video quick because I have a feeling I have company that's going to expect my undivided attention. I just heard somebody pull up here. Take a quick look here. Okay, actually never mind, it's not for me. Good. But anyway, what they do is there's this brass fitting in here that holds this in here. And see if I can push this back out again. It was kind of a bugger to get it out the last time. I think I had to put it into the, actually find a good spot on my vise here to actually kind of, not necessarily press it in, but kind of, there we go. And of course it always falls onto the floor in the most inconvenient spot possible. But anyway, let me show you here. So this is the sending unit here. And I took this little brass fitting out. That's what actually, it's just a press. It's almost like a pressed brass fitting, and it presses into the plastic. That's all it holds this thing together. And this is the actual points of contact here. This is actually the part here that registers the resistance on there. So I guess there's two contacts on here, and if you look real close, and I don't know how well this is going to show up. I'm going to explain it anyway, but I don't know how well it's going to show up. If you look there, there's actually two different traces. There's this bottom trace that runs along there, and it runs up right up into there, into that wire, and then there's the top trace right here that is only connected to the top section. And as you change the area in which that it contacts on here, this circuit board has a built-in resistor into it, and it basically modifies the amount of voltage that connects these two wires together, which then allows your fuel gauge to read between the full and empty. Now I'm blanking on the name of they could be called electrodes, I think. We're going to go with electrodes. I think they're called electrodes. There's two electrodes that are inside your dash cluster on your fuel gauge. And those electrodes, I guess heat up, I believe is the correct term, which attract the gauge to move back and forth according to the voltage. And that is all influenced by this. So it'll move one way towards full if it's hotter, or towards empty if cooler. That's from what I understand. I'm sure I've screwed that whole thing up, but it gives you the general idea. I mean, you know, once again, I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm just trying to help some people out that are like me, that are doing this alone with no help. So with that said, this is it. Now what this guy did was, and I don't know exactly what he did, there's a video out there on YouTube floating around. He either cut away some of the height of this part right here and shaved it down a little bit, or inside here, I don't know for sure what he did, or inside here he cut, there's an inner layer of plastic, he may have shaved that down a little bit. Ultimately what he was able to achieve was, when you position this part back in here like so, he was able to get this to more securely ride these two little contacts there. I don't know how well, that's probably blurry. Let's try to do it in front of my arm. Those two little contacts, you see those metal prongs sticking out? That enabled him to be able to get a better connectivity when this slid on here, so there wasn't so much slop in it. And apparently the slop in movement in here is actually the official cause of why these quit reading. Outside of your typical things like, you know, just the fact that it, you know, there's varnish and stuff that you get on there and things of that nature that occur that create, but there's like varnish and stuff that gets on these resistors that cause that and whatnot. But I mean, like I said, what I had to do was I had to cut off the connectors on these. I was going to solder down here, but I want to play games with this board down here and ruin it. So what I did was I cut it off at the top, at the connector. As you can see, I cut it off. Now these are the connector. This came with the new. This is the defective. What I have in my hand here is the defective sending unit resistor. The one that I installed is already in the vehicle, so obviously I can't show you that, but these are the wiring that came with it that were the wrong size, so I had to cut off the resistor and put it onto the wiring that this one was originally on. And that's because, like I said, I had an aftermarket sending unit. It was an AC-Delco, but I think it was like a service grade, which means crap, basically. So yeah, hopefully this one works. The part that I got, the place I got it from was on eBay. They're called, they're basically, I think they're called Global Automotive. And like I said, they're on eBay, and I think you can search Global Automotive and you'll find them. And that's basically where I got the replacement resistor, you know, for the tank from. So it was $15 free shipping. It was for the 97 Chevy Blazer 2-door. I don't have the part number. I don't have any of that information with me, so I do apologize. I wasn't anticipating doing this video. It was like a last minute thing. Also I wanted to throw out there too, any of you oil change enthusiasts that worry about brands of oil and different types of filter and stuff, I just wanted to give you my 2 cents on that. As far as filters go, and once again, I'm not trying to bash a brand name here, but AC-Delco is kind of taking a dump as far as I'm concerned, as far as quality with their oil filters. They're just not real good. So what I've switched over to is basically switched over to Wix. Wix oil filters. They seem to be made a lot better as far as in the aspect of the actual quality, weight. I mean, the overall weight, sorry guys, trying to do this one-handed, the overall weight of the filter makes a huge difference. It shows quality. But just looking at the top of that, and you can just tell from just looking at this filter how much better made it is than the one that AC-Delco is providing now for their General Motors vehicles. They're like a feather, and they're just, in my opinion, junk. Also, another brand of oil that is from my dad here, it's Wolf's Head. Wolf's Head oil is actually a pretty decent oil. It's made right here in Pennsylvania, my home state here. I get this stuff here. I found a place I can get this for $2.50 a quart. It's great for new cars, great for old cars, doesn't matter. Oil's oil in my opinion, but to an extent, I will say oil is oil to an extent. There are some oils that I do stay away from. I have my reasonings for them, just from years of doing this. So, but personally, I like castor oil. Castor oil seems to really do the best job, in my opinion. I get rid of a lot of excessive engine noise and clicks and clunks in the engine just by running a quality castor oil. It doesn't have to be synthetic. If it's an older car, it's not turbo. It doesn't have any. It's, you know, it's not like a high compression foreign import car, and it's just a regular General Motors or American-made car. Just run standard conventional. Just change it on time. You know, I still believe in the 3,000-mile oil change methods. Not a big fan of, you know, letting my oil go, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 miles. I just don't think that's, in my opinion, is acceptable. Especially, you know, in my area where it's a hilly terrain and the cold winters and the hot summers. Just change your oil every 3,000 miles. I'm not even going to get into that whole politics of that, but do that. And air filters, obviously, I change them about once a year. Usually, beginning of summer, I'll throw a new or air filter in, or end of summer, depending on my schedule of when I changed it the year before. And another thing most people don't think of is cabin air filter. We'll take a quick walk out here real fast. The cabin air filter, not all cars have this. A lot of newer cars do, though. 2006 Pontiac Grand Prix here. This has a cabin air filter, which I'm not going to be able to show you because I don't have the keys with me to open the hood and all that. Come over here. This is the passenger side of the vehicle here. If you come over here, here's the windshield for reference. Here's passenger mirror. Whoop. Right underneath this shield here, there's some body clips that are right in here. You pop these body clips out, and you carefully, down inside there, there's a windshield wall, and carefully move them out of the way. This whole panel lifts up, and you can access the cabin air filter, and that air filter cleans up the gunk that's coming inside your cabin with you when you're driving, gets rid of a lot of junk. You can actually get carbon ones. I haven't been able to find any for this vehicle yet, but a lot of foreign cars actually, they're made out of carbon, which gives you that better quality air cleaning circulation through the vehicle. It gets rid of like different fumes and outdoor smells. So like Mercedes and stuff usually have those. So, but garage is a little bit of a mess. I am embarrassed. I mean, this is my area of the garage that I've kind of taken upon myself to take over. I clean this whole section out. Once again, my dad is a ridiculous pack rat, as you can see. I mean, it's not, to get a good feeling for this, you have to see it in person. Unfortunately, on a YouTube video, you're not going to really get a good idea as far as what we're discussing here. But there's actually a car under there, see? There's the tail light. There's the corner panel. Yeah, there's a car in here, guys. Yeah, but anyway, we're working on that. Like I said, this is the bench that I pulled out of the corner. I've had a workbench for probably about 21 years, and I haven't been able to use it because it was buried in a corner with crap on it. So I also found a vise here, which I'm thrilled. I've already used this quite a few times already. Just a little one, but that's all I need. I'm not, I'm not building, houses in here, guys, so. But I am going to cut this down, this video. I'm going to get out of here. I got some things I want to do this evening. I'm off today, so I'm going to try to enjoy the day. But I just wanted to give you that quick heads up. I know there's a lot of guys out there that are interested in this stuff like me. And, if you're having a problem with your fuel gauge on your Blazer, I would say at least 8.5 to 9 times out of 10, it is this. It is your resistor in a tank. And like I said, a lot of times you can purchase this, but I am going to say something. If I didn't just replace the fuel pump last March and gone through all this already, and this was my first time dealing with this fuel gauge issue, I would have just replaced the whole sending unit and pump. Just replace the whole thing, guys. And from my experience, take it from me, don't go cheap. I'm not saying go out and, take out a personal loan to change this fuel pump. I'm saying go to your auto parts, stay away from AirTechs. I'm questioning AC-Delco for General Motors cars. I am questioning them because of the experience I just had with this AC-Delco pump. But like I said, I think it was a service grade, which means it was lesser quality from eBay. I would explain why eBay was able to sell it to me so ridiculously cheap. So I'm thinking you may want to get one from an auto parts. It may be better. See if you can find some promo codes online. A lot of times, like with Advanced Auto as a prime example, you can Google search, Advanced Auto promo codes. And when you find those promo codes, you can get, anywhere from $30, $40, $50 off your total order. You can even do a schedule for in-store pickup. And if they have it in stock, you can go down there and pick it up, and you just save 30, 40 bucks. And all you did was process the order through the website versus processing it through the register. So, they put these things out there, because they want people to use them and take advantage of them. And why not? It's not hurting them. It's not hurting us, really. I mean, they're already, in my opinion, having 80, 90% markup on this part anyway. So chances are they're still making a 40 to 50% profit on the part, even when you use these promo codes. Trust me, I work retail. There's room to wiggle. There is always wiggle room when it comes to, this type of product. But I'm going to keep ranting and raving and going on and on and on, which I have a habit of doing when I start talking about cars. But yeah, like I said, go to Advance, go to Napa, go somewhere. Do not get a generic brand. AC-Delco is what I recommend for General Motors vehicles, but especially Chevy Blazers. But some people have told me to try Delphi or Denso, preferably Denso. They said Denso is made a lot better than the AC-Delco one, and so is Delphi. I can't vouch for that because I haven't tried any, but I will say I had an AC-Delco one, and I already had to replace this part on it. So take that as a grain of salt. Do what you want with that information. Hopefully it does help someone out there. Like I said, if you have a problem with your fuel gauge isn't reading accurately, it's bouncing around all over the place, or 1 minute's empty, 1 minute's full, or it seems like you're getting horrific gas mileage, and then when you go to top off your tank, you can only fit so much in there, so you realize you're not getting bad gas mileage. Chances are it's because your fuel gauge isn't reading accurately anymore, and this is the problem. My 97 Blazer, commonly what they do is when they start to fail, they'll read somewhere between the proximity of, once you get down to about 8 or 9 gallons of gas or anything below a half a tank, what it'll end up doing is it starts to read empty when you actually still have, 8 or 9 gallons of gas in your tank. So that threw a red flag for me, so I realized the problem was there. And, this just didn't happen one day. I did start noticing a progression where my fuel economy started taking a huge dive for no reason over a several-month period. And I was like, what is, probably about a month. I don't want to say several months, because this is all developed in less than a month, I would say this. So I would be lying if I said several months. Because the gauge did work when I first put the tank in, and it is working again. So I don't know if it is this slop, is it the slop in here? Is that what it is? The other guy that fixed it hooked up a multimeter after he did this rig to it that he did on YouTube. And after he hooked up this multimeter to it, it worked perfect. And he put it back in his tank, and I guess all was well. So maybe that's all we got to do. Maybe someone out there just needs to figure out a way to develop one of these that don't have so much damn slop in it. That causes the reading problem. So, yeah, take it like that, guys. You tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, subscribe. And once again, thanks for watching, and you all have a good night. Take care.